Part 7 Domain Considerations. So please forgive me if this video seems a little too basic, but I think it's important to keep everyone on the same page about DNS. In computer engineering, everything communicates with IP addresses. You have an IP, every service has an IP, the proxy has an IP, and communication comes from IPs to IPs. But as a user, you don't want to remember IP addresses. You want to remember services names. This is the purpose of the DNS, the domain name service. You have one internal DNS to your internal network, and it will handle the domain darkside.local. Please note that it is not the domain darkside.com, and be very careful about that. It's the internal domain. At first connection, my user retrieved only one IP, the IP of the DNS. If your question is, how did he do that? The answer is DHCP protocol, but I will not go into that. I encourage you to go see a tutorial about DHCP. So anytime he wants to access something on the network, he asks the DNS. In his browser, he will type, for instance, service1.darkside.local. The computer will then ask the DNS for the IP address of service1, retrieve the address, and connect to service1 directly. Okay? And on the internet, you also have what is called an external DNS. They are public infrastructures that route all requests on the internet. For instance, the external DNS of Google will route you to any Google services you want. But unfortunately, my user only knows one DNS, his internal DNS. If I do nothing and my user types a public address on his browser, like mail.google.com, he will ask the internal DNS, and of course my internal domains know nothing about domain google.com, so he cannot give the answer of what is the address of mail.google.com. And that's why you need additional rules to guide you to the right direction and to guide you to the proxy if necessary. In a Windows/Microsoft environment, this is typically the purpose of a .pack file. Very often this file is called proxy.pack because it will obviously provide rules about when you have to ask the exit proxy. So you host it on any internal server you want, and then you configure every browser to use this proxy. If you want to check your proxy configuration on your PC, it's very easy. You just go to the Internet Options on the Connection tab and find the proxy parameters. Go for it if you do not believe me, but I assure you it is true. So the user retrieves the rules, and its browser knows that for every internal domain he has to reach directly to the nearest DNS, and for external domains he wants to reach the proxy. For instance, a very simple rule could be every time you search for an address with darkside.local on it, go internal, and for the rest, go to the proxy. Now, when the user will try to reach mail.google.com, he will go to the proxy. I'm sorry because sometimes the transition is not very smooth, but I have to cut the video to rebuild it. I'm sure you pardon me. So the proxy analyzes the request, and if everything is in order, he will send it to the internet. But for now I do not have any public IP address. That's also the job of the proxy to give me one. This is called the NAT, the network address translation, and now the user has a public IP. He finds the domain google.com, retrieves the IP address corresponding to the mail service, and finally go for the mail service directly. So for the next video we'll forget about all those internal services and Google service. That was just for the example, and I will go into details into why it is important on Office 365. See you soon, and don't forget to share and comments.